Well, hello and welcome YouTube. Brandon Robinson here, back with another video. Not a very exciting one. Apologies for that. I'm not big on editing, so this is not going to be very stylized. Feel free to read what you're going to read. I'm going to have some picture and video examples, and that'll kind of be it afterward. What I want to talk about is the new instituted rule change in the AA level for Major League Baseball regarding defensive shifts. Now, I'm personally a fan of restricting shifts or limiting the amount of shifts a little bit. I actually have been back since the early 2000s when Barry Bonds was getting shifted on. It was probably a little personal thing saying, hey, let him hit. But at some point, it kind of just became a little something else to me. And before I say what I'm going to say in general, I want to let you know that I personally take advantage of what is allowed in shifts. I do when I coach. I do when I play. I do all the time. I'm not saying I'm stubborn to not use it. I'm just saying that it's a loophole for today's modern hitter that should have some normalization. And, I've been not wanting it for a long time before its recent outburst. Back when, Bonds, not just Bonds, Jason Giambi, Luis Gonzalez, when they were all being shifted on as well. It was mostly the lefties, and then other big hitters like Albert Pujols, such as righties, came on, and then they started shifting on them as well. And it's fine. I understand there's some things in shifts, and honestly, I think Major League Baseball is taking it a little too far, and that's actually one thing that I want to talk about and employ what I believe should be the limitation on shifts. Now, I personally don't like rules or lack thereof, which seem to destroy the inherent nature of the positions in the sport. So much like football, you can't just line up wherever the hell you want. Referees govern it a certain way. There are illegal formations, too many men on the line. 12 men on the field is something else that they govern. So keep this in mind before you start crying foul about this is going to be too hard to keep track of, guys. NFL referees can do this just fine. Major League Baseball umpires, they are the best in the business in what they do. They will be totally fine governing what it is that I'm going to propose, much less what they actually are possibly instituting for the AA level. I'm also not a fan of destroying inherent nature. Like the automatic walk and stuff. Listen, I can have a huge, massive 40-minute video on the automatic walk thing. I hate it. It's cringeworthy to me. I really do hate it. I think taking away that legal action to actually throw the pitches is huge. Personally, I know that this is not a part of this video, but personally, I would get rid of the intentional walk altogether. I think you have to earn throwing those walks by, throwing 4 pitches unintentionally, intentionally. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at what the actual rule is that they are putting in place here. I don't know if this is the exact verbiage. I got this off cbssports.com, and part of it was quoted, part of it was just in the article, whatever. But here's what it looks like. Here is their proposal for the AA level, I think for the upcoming season. The defensive team, must have a minimum of 4 players on the infield, each of whom must have both feet completely in front of the outer boundary of the infield dirt. That's the part in quotes, really. And then the article says, depending on the results of the experimental rule change, Major League Baseball may decide to then require 2 infielders to be positioned entirely on each side of second base in the second half of the AA season. So basically, they are completely getting away from most all flexibility here in the shift. And in some way, listen, I'm not a huge fan of the shift in general, but I mean, this is kind of overkill to me. I think there should be a little bit of looseness here and there. I think they should allow for a little bit of wiggle room here and there. But I think if push came to shove here, I don't know. Maybe I'd look to see this through as well. But I'm not going that hard and heavy on this. In fact, you'll probably see through my proposal, guys, that most shifts are not only still allowed, but most of the shifts that they still do are still allowed. What I'm trying to prevent are the massive, cringeworthy, embarrassing, where the whole crowd is going like, look at this. This is ridiculous that they're doing this to this player. And listen, I understand that some hitters should just learn to hit opposite field or learn to bunt. And I could talk about that stuff in greater detail if I wanted to, but I'm sure you want to see more of my proposal first. Here's my proposal. The defensive team must have a minimum of 3 position players in fair territory. That's just me saying verbiage. They have to be in fair territory anyway. Only catcher can't be. Let me say this again. Sorry. The defensive team must have a minimum of 3 position players in fair territory on either side of the dividing center line. So I don't know. Let's see. I don't know how they say it. Where they say entirely on each side of second base. So mine is each side of second base as well. but the dividing center line because consider center fielder as well. No more than 2 players in the outfield grass on either side of the field, and a minimum of 2 players on the outfield grass at any time. So this actually doesn't restrict all outfielders from coming into the infield. I actually am. I actually am doing it on that last part. But the first 2 parts are going to be key portions as far as more of a poll rather than just a strategic play when it comes to this. I mean, you can have outfielders right behind the dirt if you want to, but something to not make it look so little league. You know what I mean? The thing with theirs that kind of works that you'd have to be careful of if you employ it in other places, such as like Little League or something like that, is at least all the infield dirt is pretty uniform in most ballparks, meaning the edge of the grass is kind of almost the same, as opposed to where you can play on some, so I coach softball, so you can play on some softball field that actually has, high school baseball level size or whatever, and if they restricted my outfielders to playing on the outfield grass when they have a slapper up, I'm saying, heck no, dude, we're going to play on the dirt because this isn't a uniform, park. All right, anyway, let's take a look at what my proposal does allow. Does not allow, just by one player breaking it somehow, and what I'm really trying to avoid. Now, what you're about to see here image-wise are things kind of assuming that you're looking at a lefty pole hitter. There are things with righty pole hitters that we can talk about as well, or I'll just go to video clips that I have here. All right, here's what is still allowed based on what I have. Now, if you can see it, there's a blue dividing center line in each fielding bit here. You can see that the wishbone defense is still allowed here because you still have at least 3 players on one side of the field here, and you have no more than 3 players on either side of the outfield grass. So 2 players on this side of the outfield grass. The center fielder stays on this side of the grass, though. If you want the if you want the second baseman, if you will, or third, whoever you have there, if you want this position player to be in the grass, this person's going to have to stay on this side of the line. And you might be surprised more often than not. I actually was when I was looking through some clips. You'll be surprised more often than not when shifts already do this. I tend to call this the Brandon Belt shift. You'll see why and what I mean. Not that they all shift Brandon Belt this way, or I can call it the Oracle Park shift. Either way, it's a Giants luxury in a way that you'll see what I mean, why people tend to do this, or at least why I believe that they tend to do this. If you do want the center fielder over on that side, that's fine, but that second baseman, I'll just assume it's a second baseman, but that second baseman can no longer then be on that side of the field. And now, if you want to keep 3 position players on this side of the field, that shortstop's going to have to be on this side of the dividing center line. So this is still legal. I mean, this is more of what Major League Baseball is trying to make sure that they just limit to doing. Something like this. Shortstop could be in the outfield grass here as well, by the way. It might not seem worthy for them to actually do that. That kind of seems a little off if the second baseman's not doing it, but they can if they want to. That's totally fine as long as they're on this side of the dividing center line. You can still get a 4 outfield shift, kind of like removing the third baseman and put him up there, because you still have, once again, I'm not going to get too deep on this, but you have 3 players on this side and at most 2 outfield on either side of the dividing center line. I don't think this is hard to enforce at all, guys. I really don't, as far as like saying, oh, umpires have to pay more attention. I mean, home plate umpires looking out there each time. They know what the dividing center line looks like. It's pretty obvious. And by the way, as the Major League Baseball rule kind of said, they kind of said both feet entirely on the dirt and stuff. Same thing here. Both feet entirely on one side of the line. You can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out or something like that. Just, don't press your luck before the umpire. I don't know what the penalty would be. Umpire charges a ball. It's a balk. Runner moves over. Maybe a combination of both. I don't know. And lastly, if you want to have that 5-man infield kind of shift, it's like late in the game and that run cannot score absolutely, or a pitcher's up kind of thing. You want to do this, that's totally fine, as long as you still have 3 players on one side of the field and you still have 2 outfielders. So all these things are still allowed. Okay, here's what's not allowed, and this is just one thing that breaks for each of them, at least I do believe, when I tried to set this up. Remember the wishbone defense thing here, or a combination of these 2 things right here? What happened, well, it's not as wishbone-y anymore, but what happens here that breaks it is now you have 3 outfielders on one side of the grass here. You still have 3 players on this side, but now you have 3 players in the outfield on the grass here on one side. So that one breaks. Now, I kept the shortstop on this side, so only one thing would break in it. If I moved the shortstop over, suddenly 2 things would break. So right here, once again, 3 outfielders on one side, even by having a center fielder over here. If the shortstop is out here doing her thing, I'm so used to coaching softball, doing his thing right here, they'd have to be on the dirt. If they're on the dirt, they're good. If they're on the dirt, they're good. I'm trying to see if I have one. Oh, this one right here. So it's like this one. If they're on the dirt, they're good. If they're in the grass, no good. Look at that first baseman covering that line right there. This one here, 2 players on one side of the line right here. Either the shortstop would have to move over and could be on the grass if they moved over here, or the outfielder would have to move over, or both. But not with the shortstop in the grass and the outfield on the grass there. And then this one here, it's the same as this, only now if the center field is actually pulled over like that. Once again, kind of problematic, at least for what it is that I am proposing. Now, here are the things that I'm really trying to avoid. And again, there are a lot of different combinations of what you can do. But I'm trying to avoid here what I would really call in these first 2 situations the Joey Gallo shift. And besides the fact that they've actually done it on him, I'm going to have video examples of this as well. I'm really trying to avoid the Joey Gallo shift. This thing is breaking more than one thing pretty easily. The shortstop, whether on the dividing center line or otherwise, is not completely on this side of the field. There's only one person on this side of the field, and there are 4 people in the outfield. This is completely breaking what would be allowed in this case here. Oh, you know why I said the fair territory thing? Now that I realize it, because I was saying the catcher, I don't want to consider the catcher as one of the people when I said in fair territory. I was suddenly thinking that these guys have to be in fair territory. No, I'm limiting to talking about only these position players, non-pitcher, non-catcher. Anyway, let's move forward. Another Joey Gallo one. You want 4 outfielders? That's fine. Make sure you still have at least 2 other people on that side and not 3 people in the grass on that side. So this is breaking a lot of things here. And then also just everyone in the infield. I'm personally not allowing that myself. Okay, I'm going to go to some video just to support some of the stuff. Now, these are clips from the 2020 season. You'll be able to tell because all of them have no fans in the stands when you see them. So, hold on. Let me go ahead and find it. I thought I had it propped up, but I must have closed it when I was looking for it. Give me one sec. Okay, I found it. Okay, so the first one here, this is actually, it's at Oracle Park, but it's not a Brandon Belt one up. I'm sure there are some when he's up. There he is. But this is an example of what I call the Oracle Park shift or the Brandon Belt shift in one of 2 ways. See, Belt, when he swings, he induces a lot of topspin because his bat angle is more of a loop swing thing. It's not what I do believe. What is actually true is physically, it's really hard for Brandon Belt to hit a ground ball to the left side of the infield because his bat angle goes in such a way that if he hits something that's going to deflect to the kind of left side of his bat, it's going to be underneath, his bat's going to be underneath the ball, so it's going to create more lift than not. It can create slice. It's possible he can also hit it kind of late and barrel it up and direct it that way, but it's not as often that he does that. Likewise, he can hit it in the air very easily that way with his bat angle, so that's why it's probable and possible for them to shift that way. It's not like he swings early on everybody. It's just his ground balls will be more prone to pull because the ones that are hitting underneath his bat, the balls hit underneath his bat will have that angle that'll go in that direction. The other reason is because Oracle Park is 309 feet down the right field line here. And in right center, I have to get used to this. It used to be 421. Now Triples Alley, I think, is 415 right here. A little closer, but a right fielder does not really have to defend this as much as they have to defend this. They call it Triples Alley for a reason. If it splits the outfield, it's a triple if it goes in that corner. I don't know if 415 is as bad as 421, but 421 is pretty much a stand-up triple for pretty much anyone if it passes them, unless they play a little further over, which is a lot further over in this case. Any ball that goes in the pocket is a for sure double, but that's all it can kind of be, just a double. Even if it's in right field, it can't really get to third. So that's why this shift gets kind of put on a lot, where not only are they more inclined to pull ground balls than pull fly balls, kind of thing like this, but also in Oracle Park, you're playing to the park's advantage as well. But you're going to see this in a lot more places than just here. Anyway, what's the point I want to start making here? This is still legal. This is still legal. The dividing center line here, as you can tell, still has 3 players on this side, only 2 outfielders on that, or two players in the grass, I should say. 2 players in the grass on that side. If Crawford, as long as Crawford sets up by the time release of the pitch on the dirt, he's fine. Assume that he's going to be on the dirt there, okay? That's an example of legal. Let's look at some more legal stuff here. And by the way, you're going to see a lot of Giants shots, guys. I'm a Giants fan. I watch a lot of Giants games. These are examples that I pulled from last year. So you're going to mostly see Giants shots, and every so often you'll see some other parts from games that I watched, either just because I was a fan of watching the game, it caught my eye, or maybe I was tracking something in fantasy. Anyway, this would still be legal for the exact same reason as before. As you can see, 3 players on one side of the dividing line here. As long as the shortstop stays on the infield dirt, he'll be fine. So you're going to see legal until it kind of hits illegal. Once again, same kind of thing, guys, what I like to call the Brandon Belt shift, even though this is not Brandon Belt up to bat. So a lot of teams do this. Now, if it does go down that line here on non-Oracle Park, it's a little more chaotic. So, I mean, good luck to them. But if they know they're scouting, then I guess that they know that some players do this more often than others. So, more, hats off to them. Take it. So this is really the balance that I'm trying to play with. I'm trying to make sure that they have an opportunity to decide what they want to do. Do they want the shortstop on this side, or the center fielder on this side? That's kind of the question at play here. You know, by the way, they don't have their second baseman in the outfield or their shortstop in the grass, and they can if they'd like to. All right, let's play some more clips here. Let's see what comes up. Still legal? I forget what my clips actually are, so I'll let you know when something changes. Okay, this is an example of something that is illegal now. So here's your first baseman, somewhere there. I guess he's right there. Here's the dividing center line. The center fielder is on the right side of the dividing center line. That leaves only 2 players on this side. That makes this one illegal. Illegal. Center fielder would have to be on this side of the line here, or shortstop and third baseman would have to move over a little bit more to make this happen. It's an example of illegal. I'll try and pause this less, but I don't know when it's going to jump from one play to the other because I just download these clips and put them in. So these are going to be examples of illegal, guys. Same. Oh, hang on. Let me go back to that one, actually. Why is this one illegal? There are, you might say, hey, there were, where'd it go? Hang on. Maybe I should pause it. Here we go. Sorry for the lack of editing. There are 3 players on this side. Why is this illegal? 3 players in the grass on this side of the line. So if you want that center fielder over there, then second baseman has to be on the dirt. If you want the center fielder on this side, second baseman can stay in the grass. So once again, illegal in that one. That looks like Alex Dickerson there. Illegal on the grass. Is that the only reason? No. Oh, I'm sorry. Illegal. Yeah, I think because, yes, if they start on the grass, that would be illegal. I guess I'm just giving that example. If they start on the grass, that case, that would be illegal. Looks like they're going on the dirt. Illegal, once again, on the. This is breaking a lot of things. This is breaking a lot of things here. 4 on the grass, only 2 on this side. So a lot of lefties in those. Oh, this is Brandon Belt, by the way. So they're not employing that shift that they otherwise normally would, or at least from what I've seen from him. Illegal again. Crawford in the grass there. He's got to be on the dirt. Otherwise, it works. Let's see. Some more illegal. 2 on the grass, 4 on this side, or 5 on this side, I should say. Only 2 on that side. And pretty soon we're going to get some righties for legal and illegal too. My apologies. I nabbed all these at the time, guys. Some more illegal, some more illegal. Hopefully you can kind of tell what makes legal or illegal. Just imagine the dividing center line. Imagine the umpire looking at this. Field umpire being able to tell as well what's happening there. So, okay, this is still illegal when they do the 4 outfield thing. It's not because the 4 outfielders. It's because this person's here. If he goes on the grass, it's illegal. I will allow it. My rule allows it if he's on the grass, because now it's still 2 on each side of the grass, 3 people on this side of the field at minimum. They're still good. So they got to make sure they prevent that. I don't know if the 5, I didn't write this. This is the broadcast. They might have written 5 people on the outfield grass, which I will not allow. All right, let's see what comes up next here. Okay, I think we're going to get to righties next. Nope, still not yet. Anything on this side is illegal still, so sorry for this. Just giving you some good old examples. That's Brandon Belt again. So I called it the Belt shift, but it looks like not everyone shifts on him that way. They are doing it illegally, according to me, and according to the new MLB rules. Just keep that in mind, guys. All right, here are some righties here. I only have a couple that are legal because I don't get to see many righties with shifts up. At least they don't get to show a lot of shots, and a lot of them they do are probably illegal. But again, on the other side of things, guys, they do put the center fielder on this side here. This is legal. And they have the second baseman in the grass here on this side. That's fine, as long as the second baseman's not on the grass on this side, actually, believe it or not. Or as long as he's on the dirt, anywhere he's good. So this is legal. 3 players on this side. 2 members in the outfield grass on this side. 2 members in the outfield grass on this side. Totally legal. He's going to come up on the dirt anyway. I don't know who's up. Also legal, once again, dividing the line. 3 on this side. And then no more in the outfield grass on this side. I know this one plays a little bit longer, but this is an example of illegal. You're seeing the reason why they shift on this side, though, when it comes to pull. Hey, they hit it more on this side than right there. I wonder why they're doing that. Anyway, divide the line, guys. Only 2 players on this side right here makes this one illegal. I think I had another clip, yeah, right after it. Same thing. Illegal. Okay, illegal. So all these will be illegal here on out here. Once again, only 2 players on that side. You're getting the point. I'm sorry that I'm playing through all these things. It's just I took the time to assemble these clips, so I might as well let them play. Of course, when I start recording it, I don't know how it'll actually play out. Hopefully you're making sense of this, though. Righty, illegal once again. Move the center fielder over. You're all good. Okay, Now, what I'm really trying to prevent here is the Joey Gallo shift, and this came from a YouTube video, so these will just go in sequence. Just take a look at all these again here. Only one player on the side of the field completely, and let's assume that he's not even in the grass. Let's assume he's not even in the grass. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 on one side of the grass. Now he's in the grass. I have everyone on the side of the field, once again, except the second baseman. So 1, 2, 3, 4 in the outfield grass. Only one in left field there. Completely illegal. To me, this is a mockery of things. Gallo, I think, did go 0 for 4, hitting into the shifts pretty much every single time. Yes, he made contact. Grounded out to every guy here. Grounded out to Bregman up the middle once as well. Now, Bregman's only moving over, actually, in this case, because you just saw him slide over, right? He's moving over once 2 strikes happened. So, hey, bunt. He can't. He has 2 strikes. He can, but he has 2 strikes. That's not a thing. Hit the other way. I mean, listen, we want our stars to be stars, right? We want our stars to be stars. Everyone's talking about pace of play and stuff like that. I mean, pace of play is less about the speed and more about excitement, at least in my level here. And there's not as much excitement to watch your favorite players bunt all the time. Also, this was more of the Gallo shift. They had to have one person over because the runner on second, but the Gallo shift kind of took care of the rest there. And that's the end of the video. Okay, so there was that stuff there. And I mean, I'll just go back to my rule, and then I'm just going to kind of talk the rest of the way through here. Regarding shifts, I always thought there was an implied restriction somewhere, and once I found out there wasn't, I was like, there should be. And now that I've seen more, I'm finding more and more reasons to dislike the free will of players standing wherever they want to, and it has nothing to do for me with pace of play. For me, it has to do with the mockery of things, kind of. Yeah, I want to make sure that this game doesn't kind of lose its inherent nature of what's going on with it in a lot of different ways. I know my argument's not great, but I am giving the defense some levels of compromise here completely. The new one is not. Next thing I'm going to say has a lot of hyperbole in it. I'm kind of personally waiting for a Bryce Harper or somebody to just bunt 50 times in a row until one of 2 things happen. Either players stop shifting on him, or Manfred says enough is enough and can't let star players bunt because of the mockery that is shifting, thus banning them. I just don't want the ban to be full bore, so they can decide what they want to do. If they want to move the center fielder over, fine, but if Harper crushes it more to that side of the field, keep the shortstop over. He can just be on the other side of the dividing line, and of course they can do that with their current rule in place as well, but just kind of keep it intact just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. That's just a personal thing for me. I would rather that teams make a decision on these pole hitters and ask themselves whether they would prefer pulling the shortstop to the other side of the field or bring the center fielder over into the power alley. And note that if one is on that side, the other can be hanging out just on the other side of the center divide. It's still a shift, and in some cases can still be extreme, but it's not extreme in both the infield and the outfield. It's just a trade-off to be had. So no, I'm not handicapping every position to a certain region of the field because I allow a rover of sorts. If you guys don't know what a rover is, it's that person that is floating out in the second baseman kind of hanging out in shallow right field and something like that. It's not a 10th player, but they end up going and roving out there or roaming out there, just as long as there's some semblance of balance provided. So anyway, that is my own personal proposal on shifts. I wonder if you actually like it. I know some people just don't like it in general, but is this a better compromise than what they're considering doing here, especially when they might end up just making this like this as well. They are keeping the infielders on the dirt. Keep that in mind. They're keeping the infielders on the dirt. I'm allowing one of the infielders to be out in the outfield grass, provided that another player's not over on that side, things like that. If you want to see the images one more time, here they are. You could pause at any time here. What I would still allow. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Take care.